Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to my review and in depth analysis for Clone Wars Volume 4 Light and Dark. And yes, it's another home run for this epic series that was initially released by Dark Horse Comics. Every single time I come and read an additional one of these volumes, I am highly impressed with how great they are. And each time I read another entry to this series, it just solidifies my sentiments that this rendition of the Clone Wars is easily the best version of the Clone Wars in Star Wars history. This comic series that was released by Dark Horse Comics is better than the TV show, better than the CGI TV show that was directed by Dave Filoni. Easily. This is easily better than the movies, episode 1 and 2. I mean, this is what I wanted from the Clone Wars. Basically, for the material to be taken seriously, we have serious themes that all pertain to the horrors of war. And also the execution is just very realistic as far as the brutality of war, the pain it brings both emotionally and physically. I mean, this series is remarkable. It really is, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, our first story in this volume, which collects basically about 3 or 4 different stories, the first story takes 6 months after the Battle of Geonosis, and it opens up with us on the planet Nar Shaddaa. And here we have Quinlan Vos, who is basically pretending to be this other character named Corto Vos. So Quinlan Vos is a Jedi that's gone undercover in an attempt to infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle on behalf of the Jedi. So he's basically pretending to be a double agent. Now, Quinlan Vos, as Corto Vos, is selling outdated holocom transmission codes to the highest bidder, to the Separatists, in order to infiltrate them. So these are holocom transmission codes to the highest bidder. And an individual named Tukarti basically attempts to sell out Quinlan Vos to the Republic. Now, Jedi Master Kolar attempts to arrest Quinlan Vos, and he says that he has the latest codes. Now, Quinlan Vos, the reason why he's being arrested is because he has to answer to the Jedi Council for some questionable actions that he's basically committed. And right now, a vast majority of the Jedi don't trust Quinlan Vos. They don't know if he's gone over to the dark side. They don't know if he's lost complete objectivity of his mission. And this is why he has to be taken back to the Republic, back to Coruscant, and answer to the Jedi Council. Now, Quinlan Vos has second thoughts about the Republic. I mean, it's hinted that he is starting to deliberate on the actions that the Republic is taking, which is unsettling for the Jedi because this is the same path that Count Dooku initially started to walk down, questioning the actions of the Republic, the beliefs of the Republic. And it's easy to see how this can be misconstrued as starting to go down the wrong path to the dark side. Because, I mean, realistically, the Jedi and their blind loyalty to the Republic is what caused their downfall. Instead of being blindly loyal to the Republic, they should have devoted themselves entirely to the Force. And to me, that was the downfall of the Jedi. Basically, to conflate the desires of the Republic with the desires of the Force, the will of the Force. That was the wrong path to walk down. So this is the Old Republic, by the way. I don't know if I said New Republic, but it's the Old Republic. So Quinlan Vos is having second thoughts about the Republic. Now, Quinlan has a girlfriend named Kayleen, and she ultimately ends up rescuing him from Jedi Master Kolar. And Jedi Master Kolar pursues, and you have this brief battle between Vos and Kolar. And I just want to say the artwork to this series is just gorgeous. That's one thing that I just love about this series, and a lot of these Dark Horse comics that came out during this time. So the same could be said about Star Wars Legacy, the one with Darth Talon. The artwork there is beautiful, and the same goes here. When you see the fight scenes, I mean, this is some of the most gorgeous comic book art that I've ever seen. I absolutely love it. Now, Quinlan Vos insists that all the wrong that he's ever done was for the greater good. So this is his argument to Jedi Master Kolar, who questions some of the things that he's done, which are basically leading him to presume that he's possibly gone to the dark side. Now, the Hutts, who basically ruled the planet Nar Shaddaa, intervene because it's their territory, and they don't want people fighting in their markets or in their bars and causing collateral damage, and also because it's their territory, which means that it falls out of the jurisdiction of the Republic and the Separatists. So Nar Shaddaa is basically neutral, and it's ran by the Hutts. So since the Hutts intervene, Vos and Jedi Master Kolar have to end their battle. Jedi Master Kolar has to end his pursuit. Now this leads us to Quinlan Vos slaughtering Tukarti, who was the one that snitched him out to the Republic. But Tukarti was basically a double agent. He was working for Dooku, pretending to work for the Republic. And again, Quinlan Vos slaughters him, which basically leads us to question his methods. Again, us as the reader, we don't know if Quinlan Vos has gone to the dark side or not. He insists that he hasn't, but when you see a Jedi slaughter somebody like that cold-heartedly, in a cold-hearted manner, it leads one to question his methods and motivations. And this is another reason why I love this series. We see that light and dark aren't so distinct. There's a lot of gray. And that's why I love this series, because the Clone Wars, war in general, but an epic war such as the Clone Wars, is the perfect setting to illustrate that and convey that to the viewer. And I absolutely love this. I love this. In a way, I mean, this may be blasphemy to some of you, but in a way, the way that Quinlan Vos struggles with the dark side, I think it may be a better story than Anakin's fall. Because Anakin ultimately fell because, I mean, there were a lot of other reasons that are included in this series as well. The way the way he harbors that hatred towards the Sand People, how he killed Asajj Ventress, things like that, and other things that have taken place in the expanding universe. But ultimately, what made him turn was that he wanted to save Padme. But I like the notion, I like the idea of Quinlan Vos being sent on this mission to infiltrate the dark side. I mean, infiltrate the Separatists, infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle, and he just loses sight of what's right and confuses what's right with what's wrong. I think that's a great seduction to the dark side, and a better seduction, in my opinion, than what happened with Anakin. But I digress. So it turns out that the Jedi Council are fully aware of Quinlan Vos and his intentions, and are basically helping him appear more credible in order to infiltrate the Separatists. So it's only a small group within the Jedi Council that know truly what Quinlan Vos, his mission is, in other words, and the extent to which they are, the leeway, in other words, that they're allowing Quinlan Vos to use in order to penetrate Count Dooku's inner circle. So, Jedi Master Kolar is like, I don't know, I think he's turned to the dark side. And Mace Windu and Yoda may be like, we will consider this, but when Kolar's gone, they're basically like, we know what Vos is doing, and it's unfortunate we have to allow this because we really need him to infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle, because this is the method that we need to utilize in order to end this war. So that pretty much ends the first story in this volume. Now, the second story, which I absolutely love. I mean, I really like the first one, but this one I particularly love because of Aayla Secura. And Aayla Secura kicks some major ass in this story. And again, the artwork does her such great justice. And I love the story. I love how Quinlan Vos was Aayla Secura's master. So Aayla is the Padawan of Quinlan Vos. And it just makes for a great story. So this story opens up with Aayla Secura remembering how Quinlan Vos was her master and saved her from starting that descent to the dark side. And she expresses her sentiments of wanting to rescue him. But the Jedi Council forbids this. Now, a gravity well projector is pulling ships from hyperspace so that the Confederacy can attack Republic convoys. Now, a Devaronian senator says that the Raiders, the ones who are basically utilizing this gravity well projector in order to attack these ships, is on the planet Devaron. Now, the senator that makes this statement or that expresses these sentiments is assassinated, and it's Aurra Sing that assassinates her. So that's one thing that I forgot. This is the best story in this collection, and I love it because Aayla Secura is in it and she kicks ass, and I love it because Aurra Sing is in it and she's a badass. I love Aurra Sing, and we get this epic battle between Aurra Sing and Aayla Secura. I mean, this is Star Wars goodness. I love this story, man, so much. And Aayla Secura has an awesome story to tell too, how she used to be a Jedi and how Aurra Sing ultimately hates them now. So we'll get to that as we move on. So Aurra Sing is the one that assassinated the Devaronian senator. Now, Aayla Secura goes undercover as this kind of rich socialite snob in order to find the Raider base and the traitor. Now, Jedi Master Thom acts as her steward, and this other Jedi that's known as the Dark Woman is her servant. Now, the Dark Woman, that's like literally her name, and the reason why she has that name is because she renounced her name, her real name or whatever, because that was a gesture to basically signify how much she has abandoned attachment in its entirety. So yeah, Aayla Secura and these two other Jedi go undercover as like a rich socialite snob, and the other two are kind of her servants and stewards. And a senator, the senator rather, is the traitor. So there is another senator that is a traitor. So that's the one that does have the connection, with Aurra Sing. And basically, she's made a deal with the Separatists. And here at this part in the story, it is revealed to the reader that Aurra Sing used to be a Jedi, but found them to be hypocrites. And now she hates them with a burning passion. And you know the antenna that Aura Singh has in her head? That was installed so that she could sense the fear in her victims. And when I read this, I was like, wow, this Aura Singh, she is a crazy badass bitch. Like, to install an antenna in her head just so she could sense the fear in her victims, it kind of shows how much of a psychopath she is. She's a great villain. I love her. Now, Aura Singh knows that the three going undercover are Jedi because she recognizes them. And the senator wants to back out of the deal that she's made with Aura Singh, but Singh refuses. And she threatens her, and she's like, no, you can't back out the deal. And the reason why she refuses to back out of the deal is because she wants to kill the Jedi. That's how much she hates them. She just cannot surrender her passion for wanting to kill the Jedi, her hatred. Now, the senator tells Aayla Secura where the base is, and the Dark Woman and Master Thom, they end up going to the wrong side of the mountain in an attempt to find this base and are attacked by Aura Singh. Now, again, it's explained that the Dark Woman gave up her name because she wants to renounce attachments, and she's basically communicating this to Jedi Master Thom as they're trapped under debris, which was a result of an explosion from a bomb that was installed by Aura Singh. So they're trapped under this debris. They don't know if they're going to be rescued. And she's basically telling Thom why she's renounced her name, because she wants to avoid attachments or renounce attachments in their entirety. But Jedi Master Thom says that connections, and most importantly, connections to people, are ultimately connections to the Force. So this is ultimately food for thought for the Dark Woman. And it's revealed that the Dark Woman used to be Aura Singh's master, and that she was too harsh. So she feels like she may be responsible for Aura Singh's abandonment of the Jedi and her hatred towards the Jedi. And here we have this epic battle between Aura Singh and Aayla Secura, beautifully drawn, beautifully colored. Absolutely love it. Epic in every way. And while this is going down, Kit Fisto, a Jedi, attacks the base, and Aayla Secura recalls Quinlan Voss's teachings while she's fighting Aura Singh. And the teachings here are to be subtle and unseen. And again, the epic battle between Aura Singh and Aayla Secura continues. And it's basically alluded that they are both similar. They both were abandoned, both trained by assassins. And ultimately what happens is Aayla Secura spares Aura Singh's life. So this is going to be kind of like an act of shame towards her. And Jedi Master Saw ends up healing the Dark Woman and Jedi Master Thom. And Aura Singh is ultimately captured, and she's sent to a penal colony. And the senator, who was the traitor, is charged for her crimes. And unfortunately, being charged for your crimes on the planet of Deveron likely means execution. So that's how the second story ends in this volume, and it was absolutely epic in every way. Loved it. Again, the artwork is gorgeous. The writing is outstanding. Great story. I mean, it's Aayla Secura versus Aura Singh. What more can you want? Check it out. Now, the next story begins with a troop ship that has been intercepted by the Separatists. And Count Dooku and former Jedi Sora Bulk, they show mercy to a Jedi in order to avoid this sentiment that the Jedi will fight to the death if we keep on killing them ruthlessly. So this was a suggestion that was brought forth by Count Dooku, because Sora Bulk couldn't understand the decision being made here. Now, Quinlan Vos continues to try to trick Count Dooku into thinking that he is no longer a Jedi and truly wants to be a member of the Separatists. Now, Quinlan Vos has an innate Kefar psychometric ability, which means that he can basically read objects. So he will touch an object and be able to sense and feel the emotions and history connected to those objects. So this is something that he learned as from his upbringing, and he wants to use this innate Kefar psychometric ability to read some of Count Dooku's personal objects and see if he can basically discover Count Dooku's plans. Now, Jedi Master Thulm brought Quinlan Vos from the Guardians, so we're getting a little bit of backstory in this story regarding Quinlan Vos. So Thulm was the one that basically brought him from the Guardians, the Kefar Guardians, if you will. Now, another Jedi Master known as Jedi Master Shylar also attempted to infiltrate Count Dooku, his inner circle, and has gone missing. And it also must be noted that 2 other Jedi have defected to Count Dooku's side, to the Separatists. And these are Tol Skor and Caridian Say. Now, Count Dooku wants to establish a base on Kefar, or it's called Kefex. So this is kind of a planet that's associated with Kefar, and this base would be on this other planet called Kefex or something like that. And it's basically a prison planet, and Count Dooku wants to establish a separatist base there. Now, the one who is responsible for the negotiations as far as the Kefar side, or the Kefex, whatever side, is the great aunt of Quinlan Vos. So there's a family affair going on here. Now, Quinlan Vos expresses to Count Dooku that he wants to be of more use to him. But ultimately, Count Dooku does not trust Quinlan Vos yet. He doesn't trust him enough with more responsibility in regards to carrying out tasks for the Separatist cause. Now, Jedi Master Thulm tells Quinlan Vos's girlfriend, Kayleen, that Vos is a double agent and that his true purpose, his true mission, is to infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle within the Separatists. So up to this point, Kayleen had no idea that Quinlan Vos was still working for the Jedi and trying to infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle. Now, Thulm wants her to be a courier, basically to send messages to Quinlan Vos on behalf of the Jedi. And while this is going down, this discussion is happening, Count Dooku trains Quinlan Vos how to fight. And he's impressed by what he sees, and he allows Quinlan Vos to officially join him. And they go to Tiburon in order to free Ishi Tib. And here, Dooku kills the leader of the planet on Vos's recommendation. And Dooku decides to give Quinlan Vos an additional mission to kill the Phaelin senator, to kill a Phaelin senator. And this is going to be kind of problematic because, again, how far is Quinlan Vos willing to go in order to infiltrate the Separatists, in order to get close to Count Dooku? And if he does carry out this mission and kill the Phaelin senator, This is an act of the dark side. So there's no choice. I mean, if he has to do what he has to do in order to impress Count Dooku and get deeper into his circle on behalf of the Jedi, it's like, well, you can't do that unless you join the dark side. So it's a double-edged sword, in other words. So Quinlan Vos doesn't want Kayleen, his girlfriend, involved. He doesn't want her to get hurt, but she does not care. She states to him she has nothing to live for, and you can tell that she's madly in love with Quinlan Vos, and she refuses to be sent away. She wants to be of use to Quinlan Vos. Now, at this point in the story, Count Dooku tortures Master Shylar, circumvents resistance to pain techniques. So, Master Shylar has this resistance to pain. Obviously a Jedi technique, but Count Dooku knows how to circumvent this. And while this discussion is occurring, Quinlan Vos comes through and he tells Count Dooku that he didn't kill the senator. Instead, he got him to join the Separatists and basically fulfill the desires of Count Dooku. Now, all the other Jedi who have basically defected accuse Quinlan Vos of being a traitor, of still being loyal to the Jedi since he did not fulfill Count Dooku's directives impeccably. But Count Dooku's pleased with this decision not to kill the Phaelin senator because he wants his assassins, if you will, to exercise some degree of intelligence and decision making. And Quinlan Vos expresses to Dooku that if he had killed the senator, then you would have had to basically groom the replacement. This way, you don't have to wait. This way, you already have the senator who is willing to do whatever you want. And Count Dooku is pleased with this decision. Now, the Count wants Quinlan Vos to aid in establishing a Confederacy base on the prison planet Kefex. Now, Kayleen reports to the Jedi of the Kefex mission and that Quinlan Vos is being tempted to the dark side and that he had to watch Shylar die. So, Master Shylar ultimately succumbed to the torture that Count Dooku was inflicting upon him and was killed. And Quinlan Vos just stood there and watched it happen, but he had to because he didn't want to ruin his cover. He didn't want to ruin everything that he's been working for. But again, is him standing there watching this fellow Jedi die? Is this going to lead him to the path of the dark side? Again, it's like, how far is Quinlan Vos willing to go? How far will the end justify the means, in other words? Now, Kayleen wants to run away with Quinlan Vos, and she expresses these sentiments to him, and he tells her to go and not to come back if she loves him. Now, in regards to the negotiations between the great aunt of Quinlan Vos and the Separatists, the aunt refuses. She refuses to join the Separatists. And as a result of this, Count Dooku orders her to be slaughtered and her followers. But Quinlan Vos cannot bring it upon himself to kill his aunt, and he spares her life and decides to run away with her. Now, Dooku, he claims that he knew the whole time that Quinlan Vos was not fully committed to the dark side, and he decides to pursue Quinlan Vos, but he is able to seduce Quinlan Vos by showing Quinlan that the aunt committed great acts of evil towards his family. So first he sees the death of her brother, that his great aunt killed her own brother. But most importantly, she arranged for the death of Quinlan Voss's parents. And this is the ultimate act of seduction that Count Dooku uses in order to further seduce Quinlan Voss to the dark side. And once Quinlan Voss realizes that his great aunt arranged for the death of his parents, Quinlan Voss has no problem killing her. So he essentially murders her. And he decides to join Count Dooku in order to feed the Jedi false information. So this whole, is Quinlan Voss truly a Darksider? Oh no, I just had to do what I had to do in order to convince him that I was on his side. It keeps going back and forth throughout the series. And you know, I enjoyed this story and I enjoyed this volume. But I won't lie, and I'm not really speaking in reference to this specific volume, but in later volumes, it gets a little tiring, this whole like, oh, he's gone to the dark side for sure this time because he committed an act of murder. And then it's like, actually, no, man, I had to do that in order to not blow my cover. And it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In my opinion, it goes back and forth a little bit too many times, but I see what they're trying to do, and I think it's a fascinating story. And like I said, I think it's a more compelling story of somebody, a Jedi rather, being seduced to the dark side than what we got with Anakin. Now, for this last and final story, this story begins on Korriban, the ancient homeworld of the Sith, specifically at the graveyard of the Sith. Now it opens up with Score fighting Quinlan Voss over a holocron. Now the great aunt of Quinlan Voss is haunting Voss's dreams. Ultimately because this is what happens when he killed her. And now Count Dooku assigns Quinlan Voss to go to Coruscant in order to kill somebody. And Count Dooku doesn't specifically say who. He says, I'll let you know when the time is right. So the Count gives him a new lightsaber crystal from Darth Andendu. I think that's how you pronounce it. And he's going to use this lightsaber crystal moving forward. So he has a red lightsaber, which is basically the tradition of the Sith. So Quinlan Voss decides to go undercover as a general, and a Jedi on Coruscant notices him, Jedi Crook. Now, it turns out that the target was Senator Viento. But Quinlan Voss thinks that the senator is the Sith Lord. So he thinks it's Emperor Palpatine or Palpatine, Darth Sidious. And the way that the artwork is drawn, it tries to basically make the reader think that Quinlan is going to kill Palpatine, but it turns out that it's actually Senator Viento. So he kills the senator, and then you have Jedi Crook versus Quinlan Voss. And Quinlan Voss ultimately escapes. And the Count tells him that he was not the Sith Lord. Like, he was not Darth Sidious, like Quinlan Voss thought he was. And that Quinlan Voss ultimately is a disappointment for not fully embracing the dark side and realizing this. So at the end of the day, it was all a test. And Quinlan Voss failed. And the story concludes with the Jedi not being sure whether they can continue to trust Quinlan Voss, or they don't know if he's fully embraced the dark side in order to achieve his mission. And that's how this story ends. So it ends on this ambiguous note, and we don't know if Quinlan Voss truly has gone to the dark side or if he is continuing to work on behalf of the Jedi in an attempt to infiltrate Count Dooku's inner circle. So that's how this volume ends. Again, I thought it was outstanding. My favorite story was the one with Ayla Secura going up against Aura Singh. I highly recommend this to anyone that loves the Clone Wars. If you haven't read the Clone Wars comic books by Dark Horse, you are missing out. It is infinitely better than the CGI TV show, infinitely better than the prequels, episode 1 and 2 namely. Please check it out. You will not be disappointed. So I give this volume an A, easily. Thank you guys for listening to this review and in-depth analysis of Clone Wars Volume 4, Light and Dark. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share. May the Force be with you. And last but not least, take care, people. One love.